the middle, and staying away from the middle in different, and the main elements of format, which is square, your composition, part of your composition. I take my batch of photographs. I do a lot of plein air painting, and I take my photographs and I look at, I try to think, well, I try to the simplest photographs possible. I have students come to class and they bring like a farmer's market scene with little kids eating ice cream and a dog over here, and then so they want all of that into a painting. And I'm like, let's zoom in on one area and make this simpler. I want people to be able to tell a compelling story that's not like 3 stories. I want to know what the one thing that painting's going to be about. And I consciously pick one thing, and then that one thing is I put in as my focal point, and everything else in my painting supports that focal point. So I stay away. I figure out the format, which is better: square, horizontal, rectangle, landscape, what they call, or the portrait mode. And square, I'm going to do a square tonight, I think. Yeah, I am going to do a square tonight. That's what I have. So this is kind of a more contemporary look, a square. This is traditional landscape, and I'm a landscape painter. So traditional landscape painting, I like to take this and make a real long, narrow, just to try that every now and then. This gives me a great deal of, when you do a horizontal and have I try to do the horizontals, like if I have a sky painting, I want it to be more about the sky, so I give the sky more importance. If I want it to be a water painting, sometimes I do a vertical, and you feel like you're walking in. Verticals are more, they're more intimate. They're more, to me, they feel like a dynamic kind of energy when you walk into it. You're part of it. Here's the little tiny vertical. Here, living out west, a lot of low horizon lines and big skies, So first thing I do is I take my photograph and I say, well, what am I going to do? A format, square, horizontal, or vertical? And the good thing about pastel is you can kind of, if it's not working, you can move the tape up, and it's like, you can change the tape and make it, okay, or scrub it off and do it again, do another. I know people who are working on canvas, you have to decide from the beginning, pretty much. So format, composition, we want to stay away from the middle, anywhere along the midline of your painting. You want to stay away from putting your focal point there, anywhere on the line vertically or horizontally. And I'm sure talking to artists, y'all know about the rule of nights, and I use that, always. I try to put my focal area somewhere not in the center. And my thing is I want to give people the most interesting trail to my focal point. My focal point is what the thing is about generally. The light on the cloud here, where the lights, that light of slashing across the marsh, that is what I wanted to be people to look at. This whole thing of the clouds coming down, and right there on that, this is slightly off center. And so I consciously do this. You can plan the focal point, or it's going to be there whether you plan it or not, because that's what my people will, I've got a whole list of focal points, and I'm sure you might have already heard these, but so what makes a focal point? People like to biologically, our eyes look at the edges. People like edges, so leave the edges away from the middle. People look at other people. If you put a person anywhere in your landscape, that's what people are going to look at. So you put it in a good place. Any kind of man-made object in a landscape, fences, docks. I don't like docks. Docks are hard. Porches, houses. Why? Because man-made objects have hard edges. You know, nature is soft and flowing and curvy, and man-made people, you know, have straight edges in man-made objects. So if you have a boat, I mean, I did a little boat thing over there. That's where your eyes go, and your eyes go to the areas of most contrast. So where I use this, where it's the biggest contrast between dark and light, your eye goes there. The biggest contrast between colors, complementary colors on the color wheel, orange, blue. I shamelessly use a lot of blue, just put some orange in there, and that's where your eyes go, because it's a contrasting thing where you don't want people to look, you know, and to focus on like around the edges and not in your focal areas. Camouflage, soft smudge the edges, soften the edges, so that you want to, it's your job, you made the painting, give people something to look at, an interesting trail, and then your one thing that it's about. And if you, I constantly work on this, so it can be a struggle, but it's a fun pursuit. So other focal points, the color red. If you go to a museum and see traditional oil painters, big giant oil paintings in a museum, there'll be a little red umbrella or a little red a guy in a red hat or something, and it's your eyes go to red. Your eyes. So just be aware of this, because if you don't think about this in the beginning and put your focal something really highly contrasted somewhere, it's just, that's where people will look. And art supplies are very expensive. So I mean, this is like a way to plan for hopefully success, you know. And I'm not talking about sales success, just, you know, a nice visual image. I want a powerful visual statement that tells a story, whatever whatever that story is for me. And it might just be as simple as, you know, the sun hitting the tops of the trees or on the edge of a pine tree, like here. I mean, that's my story right there. This dead log points to my focal point. Everything in I want everything element in my painting to help support the focal point. So I want these clouds to, I mean, it's my focal points there. Another focal point is little dots of small shapes, tiny shapes. People will look that because they're used to look, I think it's because of, we look at people's eyes and that's a small, tiny shape. I mean, it's like from birth. And so watch out where you put these marks, these little, when you make marks on a thing, because I mean, like that little shape right there, that, this little tiny thing here, you just, and that's in a good place, you know. So I will leave that little white or light shape there. All right, so color, value. One thing I after deciding where your focal point is going to be, I do these little value sketches, and I pick out either a dark painting or a light painting. I do from the start, I say I want mostly dark. I'm not going to do a mid-gray painting, stay in the middle. I want to make it dramatic, more dramatic. So I go I go push it to the dark or I push it to the light. I don't do a lot of light paintings. I don't know. I was looking around and I don't even have an example of a light painting. Maybe when you have a light painting, a lighter value painting, a high key painting, as they call it, your eyes go to the dark. I guess that sailboat one I did, that's kind of a high key for me. Over there, the framed one, where your eyes go to the dark shapes. Al was showing me his painting of, got into the Southeastern Pastel Society, yay, of white sailboats against mostly gray. And so most of you know this. I mean, if you do a great painting, everybody loves it. Try to analyze that painting. Say, why does this one work so well? And it's probably because you got the values, the light darks right, you got the focal point right, and you gave people an interesting trail to look through to your focal point. So I do thumbnail sketches. I do, you know, these are just quick. I have the these are great. The these Coptic, I think they're called. I can give you the name of them, but they're in mid. They're value range from like 6 value ranges of. And I like to do, I use those. I do a lot of plein air painting. Anybody do plein air painting here? Plein air painting is immediate, and I do these plein air things, paint outs, and it's just scary, but it's good for people who overwork, because you don't have time to overwork. So it's like you just do it, and it's plein air painting to me is like where it's like therapy. It's just you have, it's all immersive, and you just can't think about anything else. And so it's like my husband's a skydiver, and it's like, it's my skydiving, it's plein air painting. Yeah. And so you know, and I don't need that. You know, I got plein air painting. So it's like meditation with cursing. So it's but it's fun, and I would try this. It's really easy out in Colorado because it's dry and there's no bugs. So and it's a little harder in South Carolina to paint outside all the time, you know. But I would give it a go if you would like to try it. So all right, so so the value, if something's wrong with a painting, it's probably because the value is not pushed far enough. That's when students come up with a painting and it's like, take a picture of it, put it in the black and white thing and see what happens. So a lot of times, if you turn it into black and white, it just goes like gray and you can't see anything. So you want to learn to push those values. I have a value finder. I stay on this side of the value finder generally. I would love to be able to do more of in light value. You know, I'm looking around like, that's a light value. That's that quilted piece, that piece on the back wall. But I just go more dramatic with the dark. So, okay, and then the color. People say, if they say anything about my stuff, it's like, wow, the colors. But I think about that as the last thing. It's like the icing on the cake, you know. So I have to bake the cake and get it in, and then I want to manipulate the color. I stay away from just using all the different, I mean, I want the option to have all these, but I don't use them all. So I use, take 1/2 of the color wheel and I use that and maybe one other color from the opposite side. I pick in my paint a warm or a cool painting. Cool, very cool painting is blue and then I use mostly blue and then a little bit of orange for the accent. Mostly gray, blue, and a purplish gray. And there's yellow. I use a little tiny bit of yellow. Mostly purpley, and then green, and that could be probably done less green there, but mostly orange, and then just a little bit of blue. So I consciously do that, and I would suggest trying that out. Just saying I'm going to use just colors from one side of the color wheel. And tonight I said, what am I going to do? So I did these color sketches, and mostly green, something, it doesn't have to be red, the exact opposite. It can be anything from that side, any mauve, purple. You have mostly green and then put a little mauve or purple, it'll act the same complementary. Mostly this peach kind of color, and then a little bit of green. I consciously do that. Just it sets up a interesting color system for me. And so I know that there's a slideshow here, but and you can go ahead and play that, and it's just some of my paintings, and I'll talk about it as if you want to, or maybe I can just paint and y'all can play it after or something. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start. This is like I don't have that much time. My supplies are, as I said, I'm using this as UART paper. I get it dry mounted to foam archival foam core, so it's easier to deal with, and it's pretty thick on there. But I use like the 400 grade. There's 800 to 250, and I use like kind of a mid-grade sanded, so it doesn't eat up my pastels too bad. This is a wet medium board. You can use this wet. You can use like alcohol washes and collage and abuse this stuff. It's very forgiving. Underneath here, I was going to do a Sennelier La Carte paper, and I will go to that if this one fails in the first 5 minutes. This is my plan B. But usually I just pick this at the last minute, but I use a lot of this color on my, it's a warm sienna, traditional kind of color for paintings, landscape paintings. Why? Because landscape's blue and green and around here. And it sets up a nice color complementary thing if you leave some of it showing, even if you don't, just if I paint blue and green on blue pastel paper, it just fades away. But if you put it on anything on the warm side of the color wheel, it works better and it sets up a nice vibration. But the orange on here may not do that. So I thought I was going to do a blue thing, but I don't get to paint in orange a lot. So I said, okay, I'm just going to do a sunset at Edisto Beach. So this is Edisto Beach State Park. So how do I start off here like I said, I could tone this whole thing any color I wanted to I use new pastel or a thin, some Giraud pastels, something a little harder. And you can do it either dry or wet. And I'm not going to do that for this, but if this doesn't work out, I can just wash it. It's like I'm doing a wash, okay? So that's you cannot do that with Sennelier La Carte paper. Some of these, this is Sennelier La Carte paper, an orange. This is a brown. I picked the orange because it's so blue, everything's blue, and I left some of the orange showing. This is done on the same paper. This is, I think I've got, this one is done Sennelier La Carte paper too. So anyway, I'm going to show you how I don't have a lot of tricks. I just do, you know, I don't use gesso or anything. I just kind of do it traditionally, I guess. I'm gonna just do in the orange here. Okay, I'm gonna go through my checklist. Composition. I know that this isn't a square and this is, but I wanted this, so I will kind of compact it. It's already set up. When I compose a lot in my camera. I mean, I know, you know, I take a lot of pictures, and I edit like crazy in iPhoto, and I push that horizon line lower. You know, so this is a sky painting, obviously, and it could look a little gimmicky with, you know, the rays of light all radiating. I want this to be over here, to be the focal area, this kind of edge of the tree line. So I'm just gonna draw in the horizon line, try to get the horizon line straight, which is sometimes, okay, that's straight enough. And there's a big, thing there. One problem with this is I didn't want it all to like point to the middle. So I like to take these long lines, and if I have a choice of putting my focal point here or here, I want kind of a long voyage to my focal area. So I'm gonna move it kind of there. And this is here. This is pretty basic. All right, so I go ahead and let me just put down here. I'm going to go ahead and put the tree line in. I'm going to use a slightly blue-green, very dark, but it's tinted blue-green because I want it to contrast with all that orange. Whoa. There we go. And then down here, that shape does that. And then this sticks out here, so I'm just going to carry it over. And there's some stuff here that I'm going to make that go there. Some lots of injections. Okay. All right. So I put in my horizon line. Try to keep that dark and fresh looking. The main thing here, there's going to be a bunch of red, a bunch of this orangey red. It's too dark, so I want a purpley kind of color here. So there. This. A little bit of here. I will keep some of this stuff, you know, I like to keep it fresh. This stuff goes on fast, so. Now I'm going to bring in some of the orange. Here, here. Okay, and I'm going to, I can hardly talk when I do this. I'm using the side of these. These are big Terry Ledwig pastels. How many pastel people do we have in here? Okay, all right, well,
Same basic principle.
pretend this is a brush. So Terry Ludwig makes these pastels. He's out in Colorado, and I had a gallery in Salida, and this old guy came in and was looking real close. You can tell in a gallery when people are artists, they come up real close. And I said, "Hi, how you doing?" And he introduces. He said, "I'm Terry Ludwig." I'm like, "Oh my gosh." No other world would you be a rock star, but you're a rock star in my gallery. All right, so I'm going to just stand right here. I'm sorry that people can't see that behind me. It's on the screen.
It's on the screen.
Yeah. See on the screen. Oh, okay. We can see what you're doing. Right. All right, I'm going to try to get some of this stuff to be blended in. A bit lighter. Right. And let's see. Try to keep it not I try to keep the light, add the light in last. So some orange in here. Let's see. Okay. Reinforce this dark thing. So that comes down here. And I'm going to add some different purples and stuff to in the right shade. This is how I keep pastels for just show. If you can see it, it's really nice and in colors and the values, but it gets so messed up that it's sort of I have to go through this whole cleaning process, and I have cornmeal that keeps them. I use cornmeal. This is cornmeal with self-rising flour in it, so it's kind of powdery. I use regular cornmeal out west. I used to use grits, and I probably should. This is a little powdery. I used to use rice too, and then bugs would get into it, so I don't do that anymore. All right, so here's some right here. So I need to get the this is pretty red here. Let's tighten it up a little bit. And I probably, sorry, I probably won't finish it today. I know that that was the advertised. But it's probably not going to happen, but could happen. But so anyway, it's okay. I'll send a picture. And if you want me to, if you would like to me to send some handouts to about what I talked about, I'll be glad to.
Great.
All right. I'm going to take the paper off. I always take the paper off the pastels too, so I can use the side of them. I know people who do pastels and do really detailed work, they take a pastel and put it back exactly in the same place, and that's just not me, but it could be you. So I know, I taught pastel at Trenholm, like a long time ago. And some of my students are here tonight. And so I said, I had to apologize because I'm kind of self-taught, and now I've been around, you know, a lot of pastel artists, and I'm pretty I was pretty unconventional with stuff. Some of the stuff I did, and I'm like, oh boy, I really might have ruined you, but anyway. All right, I need a dark blue. This isn't blue, it's brown. Yep, that will work. So, all right, this is kind of that's not gonna work either. Sorry. I see, I mean, I've got a million pastels here, and it's like, I need something different. Okay, that's a darker. That's good. All right, I'm gonna bring this out to the side here. Darken your outside edges. It helps to contain the it's the same color. Helps to contain your image. I always come back and try to darken these outside edges when you do a landscape oil too. So, all right, here's, let's see what that looks like. Oh, $5. That's true. You can't think of it like that, though. Here it goes. But you see, you take these and I use all these little scraps, throw them in the cornmeal, and it's good to go. All right, so. Now that I've got it kind of laid in there, I'm gonna try to get some. This is. Then I'm going to put some something from the opposite color at the end. So I try to use something. I love this color of palest green sometimes in a painting around the edge there, around the focal area. Instead of that, what I do somewhere, I have to do elsewhere. And one thing that I'm not doing that I should be doing is stepping back on occasion and seeing what's happening. So let's see. I think it's more red in there. And this is a pretty large, piece to work on in just the little bit of time we have here, but anyway, it's challenging.
Pretend you're plein air.
Exactly, and there's like a time clock, and I'm like,
So I was gonna say it.
Yeah. Okay, so, all right, so you have to reestablish your darks here. Pastel, it falls on the, so reestablish the darks. Should have some music out right there. And if I had my alcohol here, my alcohol wash. Yeah, it would be so much better. I left my alcohol in my car. Okay, so this is my, I'm going to reinforce some of this area here. I don't get, out west, there's a lot of red rocks and stuff. And so like when I go to Moab or somewhere like that, I have to, I take my, have a whole nother set of pastels, the ones that are, have all the earth colors and the reds and when I come out here, it's just a whole nother deal. A lot of green. Green can kill you though. Okay.
So what would an alcohol wash do?
It kind of blends in everything and removes mistakes or makes it an interesting surface. So, yeah. So let's see.
Once you put the alcohol on it, you go over it again.
Yes, and over and over. And so it's a really good wash material. It dries real quick. So being alcohol. So
Now, how do you apply the alcohol, with the brush or?
with a foam brush. Like, okay, so let me get this thing straight here. Take out that. Get this straight. This is too far up in the air, so here's this really nice thing here. Oops. Let's see. I'm gonna darken all this. No, y'all can talk while you're doing paintings. Sorry, I'm not good at talking while I'm. Me either. That's Rick something. You know, matter of fact, if you wanted to, you could play maybe my slideshow now because it's around 7:30. And these are paintings that I've done in the past and this was an amazing day in Stone Beach. Did you take that reference? Yeah, I did. I always take my own pictures just because I want to know, be able to remember what it was like when I was there and what it felt like and what it looked like. And right now I'm gonna have in here. Darker up here. Let's see. It's darker. Y'all put your email addresses, or maybe I can just get your president to send it to you. I'll just
Just send it to Debbie. and we'll
Yeah,
get
just
it
send
out.
everything to me and I'll make sure it gets out.
okay. I don't want it to be so black here. Oh. This is a collection of just paintings that I've done in pastel. All these are fully pastel. So it's nice to get enough of this stuff on here too.
Do you have any hard and fast rule about putting on the dark first and then the light over that?
Yes, absolutely. That's the hard and fast rule. That is it. So, yeah, always, especially pastel, because it's really hard to make it light, to make it darker once you have it, you know, at a certain. Like if I put a bunch of white on here, it would be really hard to make it dark. That's my out west stuff. We spent a lot of time on doing river trips out there. Got 10 minutes. Oh my gosh. Maybe not even that. Come on, come on.
Do you ever mix regular pastels with oil pastels?
Oil pastels are totally different thing. I love oil pastels, but they are, they're like lipstick and they don't ever dry hardly, the ones I like to use. So I've kind of stopped using them and I've gone to oil sticks, you know, like oil painting sticks, really. I'm really kind of excited about these new oil sticks. I'll use them. You can draw with them, and I think that's like gonna be my ticket. Real excited about it. Okay, I'm just gonna try to wind up. You guys aren't gonna believe how good this is when you get a picture of it. It's like, wow, that didn't even look like the same thing. No, just kidding. I will finish this thing and send it to you. So you have to almost, when you start off with like white paper, you have to, it's a little bit, you have to kind of get stuff on here to play around with before you even, so I'm gonna get here. Okay, this is my focal area, so I really want to pay close attention to this. That's out wet. That's like, it's pretty amazing being able to go out to these wild places that you can only get to by boat. It's in the middle of nowhere. That's this plein air sketch. I do a lot of just quick plein air stuff, and sometimes that's my most effective, but sometimes it's not.
How in the world do you transport it back if you're out there? And you do the
Well, I
plein air?
tell you what, those plastic sleeves are great, and I've just kind of discovered those, and so.
Do you use fixatives out there?
Do I do what?
Do you use fixatives?
I never use fixative ever anywhere because pastel is it's made of rock and mineral and crystals from rock, and the light goes through it. That's part of the thing. I try not to mess around with it, smudging too much. And fixative melts everything together. So doesn't alcohol do that? But I'm not using that. I'm using that for a basis. Okay. So yes, it does do that. But all right. I'm gonna wind up here just like kind of.
When I've used pastel, some of the pastel comes off, like if you hold it and hold it up. How do you keep if you don't use fixative, how do you keep the pastel cemented, for lack of a better word, on paper so that it doesn't like, but I'm assuming you frame it under glass or plexiglass?
I don't use plexiglass because that has an electrical charge and it attracts unless you get museum plexiglass, which is real expensive, and that's what they use for giant pastel paintings.
Use glass.
I always use glass. I use art glass, or I use museum glass is the highest rating. It's expensive, and art glass is one below it, and it's cheaper, and it's just as good. So I just bang the heck out of it.
Okay.
If there's a big, I like to put real big, I call them marks, but like brush strokes. I like to really get in here, do a brush stroke or something, a thick thing. And so I try to smudge it in there and I use glass right on my pastels. That one has spacers, and I think I like it better to just tape a piece of art glass or museum glass right to the pastel. Frame it like that. It doesn't have reflection. It's galleries and patrons think it's like considered a fine art medium now. It's like used to be pastel. And mattes were horrible. I used to I mean, some people can deal with the mats, like, and I see you, but I had to change them out all the time because I paint real big. And so, I mean, pastel real big. And so it's a, I don't use mats anymore. And people, I think a lot of my stuff looks better without it. So, and I use thick, wide frames generally, but I've seen them floated in these beautiful, almost shadow box, kind of not real deep shadow box, but, and use plexiglass on big, people are doing giant pastels now and getting a lot of money for them. And, you know, it's a whole, it's not prohibitive, I don't think anymore, the size. So, you know, the framing's always going to be an issue because you got to put, once you put glass on here, it's like good to go. I mean, there's pastel, Degas pastel that are done on, you know, what looks like paper bags, you know, are still as fresh as they were. And pastel is like the most direct medium. It's pure pigment with a binder. And, you know, I don't wear gloves, but I wash my hands all the time from this. And so it's a fun and direct and medium that people are using in all kind of interesting ways. And I went to the International Pastel Society show here recently, and I actually got in the thing, and it was like, you know, it's always shows or something, you know, it's like, I go for and I enter and I get in shows and sometimes win awards, and then you go through a spell of not getting in shows, and it's so subjective. You know, you just can't get your feelings hurt. Do, but you can't. You're not supposed to get it. Especially when you see the show, it's like, I didn't get into that. I try not to be, you know, I try to, you know, it's just one person generally, or two or three, a committee that hates your work. Rejects you. No, it's just, there's so many good people out there now. It's just a roll of the dice, but I still try, you know, so, but just don't get discouraged. I mean, I've judged shows before, and it is subjective, you know, and it's hard to judge a show. So I feel for them.
Have you met Carl Dalio?
I don't know him.
Well, you got to.
I got to. I know the Carl Dalio.
Yeah.
I look him up. Go find him.
In Colorado, you don't know.
I
him?
don't know Carl Dalio. And I live in a little tiny mountain town I never get to the Pastel Society because they're 3 hours away and it's snow, and I just don't, in the winter, it's like I live on an island. So I don't like to drive in the snow. But it's, yeah, I don't know. I know a few of the pastel artists. There's a lot of really good pastel artists in Colorado. That's kind of where they, you know, a lot of
Well,
them
he
live
does
there.
everything. Look him up.
I sure will.
You got to meet him.
I will. But anyway, I will send you a picture of this. When I finish it, I'll work on it some more. But usually I do a painting like this. Takes me about 3, 4, or 5 hours, and then I like to finish it done. So, and I don't like to have to come back the next day to do it, because it's fresher and all. But this is like the first go, and then I come back in and do. You know, there'll be a few details, but anyway, it might look like that later. So. Maybe.